I'm David Popp from Model Railroader Magazine. Train sets are a great way to get your family started in the hobby of model railroading. And essentially, everything you need is in the train set box. Just set it up on the floor and you're ready to go. When you're ready to expand your railroad empire, there are a lot of great accessories that you can add to your model railroad. But your trains can't live on the floor forever. So this series of videos will teach you how to build a model railroad that your whole family can enjoy using some basic tools and some simple materials. Let's start by constructing the base for our layout. Now, for the base of our model railroad, which is going to measure 40 inches wide by 60 inches long, we're going to use a material called tempered hardboard. This is 3/16 of an inch thick. You can get it at any hardware store or home center in 2 by 4 foot panels. And as you can see, there's a smooth side and there's a rough side to it. For the purpose of building our model railroad, we're going to actually put all the smooth sides face down, like that. Now, 48 inches wide, or 4 feet, is too wide for what we need, so let me show you how to cut this material without needing a saw. Now, I've already cut the other pieces, but I've got this one left, so let me show you how this works. Use my tape measure first of all to show you that I've marked a line on the tempered hardboard here at 40 inches, because that's the length that we actually need this to be. So to make the cut, I'm going to use a utility knife. This is an all-purpose knife that you can get at any hardware store or home center. And I'm also going to use a metal straight edge. Now you can use a regular wood yardstick, but you have to be very careful because the knife will actually shave the wood off. So metal is better. Setting the straight edge right along my line, and then carefully holding it in position. Take my knife, bring it right in along the side, and I'm going to slowly score the first pass. I don't want my straight edge to move at all because I want a nice straight line. Make another pass. Now I'm not going to lie to you, this is going to take a while with a knife, but it can be done and you'll get a nice clean edge when you're finished. Bring our straight edge back in and we'll make about a dozen passes. Alright, now that I've got a good start on this side, we're going to flip the piece over. Take my tape measure out again, and this time, using my pencil, we're going to mark a 40-inch line on the back side as well. Notice, in order to get this square, I've made one mark. Come over here and make another mark so that they're parallel to each other. And I'll bring my straight edge in, lay it right on top of my marks. So now we're going to do the same thing by scoring the back side. And we'll make a dozen passes here too. Okay, we might be to the point where we can just snap this off now. Bring the straight edge right in next to my line again. Just put even pressure on it and then bend it upward. And there you go. We've got a little bit of a jagged edge here, but that's actually easy to clean off with the knife. Just like that. So, our base is made of 2 24-inch by 40-inch pieces and one 1-foot or 12-inch by 40-inch piece. And when you stitch them all together, you've got your 40 inches by 60 inches. So next part is to put the frame on it. We're using some simple 1x2 lumber. These shorter pieces are actually cut to 38.5 inches so that they fit inside the longer 60-inch members. Now these are the only cuts that you need to make on the lumber, and I had our home center do them all. After making sure that all the edges of my base are lined up evenly, I'm going to begin by gluing one of the long sides first. For this project I'm using carpenter's glue, which is specifically designed for gluing wood together, and that's what we need for this project. Open it up. And starting at one end of the board, I'm just going to put a bead along the top. Now the nice thing is, while carpenter's glue is wet, it is water soluble, so you can clean it up with a damp paper towel. With the bead of glue on, I'm just going to carefully pick up the board, roll it over and use my fingers to make sure that the edge is lined up where it should be. I'm going to lay it right in on top of our base. Now, when working with any type of adhesive on your project, make sure that you're not working on top of carpeting or on some finished surface like a kitchen table that isn't covered. Carpenter's glue in particular, while it's wet, can be cleaned up with a damp paper towel. But once it's dry, it's there for good and you'll never get it off the surface again. Now, once you've got your board glued in place, we need to clamp it because pressure is what really activates this adhesive. These are called spring clamps, and these were 99 cents at my local home center, so I picked up a bunch of them for this project. But everywhere our panels join together and we've got a seam here, I'm going to put a clamp to make sure that that holds tight. So I'll set that one in there. We're going to come down to the end next. Put one in here too. And we'll come back to the other seams. Now, it's a good idea to put clamps every foot. So I've got this open space right in here in between one of our sections. Put a clamp in there. And we've got one to go here. Now, this glue needs to sit for at least an hour clamped before we can take the clamps off and move on to do the next piece. So it's time for a break. Okay, the first side has had time to dry, so now we're going to work on one of the ends. Just like we did before, we'll roll it over, put some glue along it. Just put some glue in the corner here. Nice solid joint. Carefully roll the whole thing over, right along the edge, and slide it into place. I'll begin by taking my corner clamp off one side and just flipping it around to the other. I want to keep both of these pieces clamped nice and tight. That's scooched in there. I've got my damp paper towel to catch any drips that might come off the sides. And we'll just clamp along this side like we did the other. And set our final clamp. Now, I've got a little glue leaking on the inside here. So I'm just take my damp paper towel, wipe it up. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for another hour. Let the glue dry, and then we'll continue our way around the base and finish it up. Our frame has had plenty of time to dry now. I've taken the last of the clamps off. There's a couple of little things we need to do before we can move on to the next step. One of them is to put nails into the corners of our frame. This is just an extra safety precaution. It's already got some glue on it, but the nail will help it. So we're using 1.5 inch finishing nails. And in order to set the nail, first of all, I'm going to use an awl. Now, this is a handy little tool. It's got a nice pointed end to it. We're going to use this for planting trees later on, but it also is great for starting nails in wood so you don't split the end. I'm going to take the awl and just set it right in about where I want to put my nail. Just put a little pressure on it. Now I've made a nice little dimple that will start the nail and also keep the wood from splitting. Set the nail in place and just hammer it home. You notice I've got a little bit of a hammer mark on the end here, and that's easy to remove with just some sandpaper. Clean up the hammer mark, and we move on and do the other corners. We've got the nails in all of the corners on our layout base, which is good because it just gives it a little extra support on those weak spots. Our final step in getting our base ready to move on to build the layout on top of will be to add some felt underneath it, just to protect it if you put it on top of a piece of furniture like a coffee table or a kitchen table. This is peel and stick felt. You can buy it at any craft store. It's got an adhesive back on it. So I've got two pieces here. One I'm going to cut into strips to put in the middle. The other one I'll cut into squares and we'll put it on each corner. Peel the backer. And right along the seam in the middle here, I want to put the first one. Press it down, smooth it into place. Okay, our felt is in place, so our layout is ready for the next step, which is our next video, and that will involve putting in the grass-covered foam base that will fit inside our frame. We'll see you then.